As a financial planner, I hear so many people's amazing lifestyle and financial goals and dreams, and it's an absolute honor to be a part of that process where I get to hear this. However, they also share with me some of their biggest and most scary financial fears and concerns. And there's nothing that breaks my heart more than talking with a young family or a young couple that want to grow their family but can't do it in the fun traditional way. That IVF is their only option, but they can't afford it, or they can't afford to do it anymore. And this is something I'm really serious about, because we shouldn't have financial blocks in our life that stop us or hold us back from doing IVF or even egg freezing. I myself personally have a huge amount of experience when it comes to doing IVF. My son is from IVF, my daughter is from IVF, and the baby growing inside me right now is also from IVF. I've done so many different treatments, medications, and strategies to become pregnant, and I'm so grateful that I was able to do this, and of course, that it worked. So I want to share with you in this video my personal story, my advice, and my experience in doing IVF. But I also want to let you know that this video is sponsored. It's proudly sponsored, and it's sponsored by Adora Fertility, because Adora Fertility have an important place in Australia in doing IVF. They have finally made it a level playing ground where IVF is now financially affordable and approachable. It's a fraction of the cost, and what is even better, it's perfect for Australians who are not willing to compromise on quality or value. So thank you, Adora Fertility, for sponsoring this video. So when I was first trying to conceive my son, Rocco, over 8 years ago, I knew something wasn't right because I wasn't able to fall pregnant naturally. And I knew instinctively that something was wrong. My gut was telling me I was going to have to get some sort of medical help or intervention. And looking back, I realized I probably should have listened to my gut earlier. As I like to say, never underestimate a woman's intuition. And turned out I was right. I was medically infertile. I would need to get some help in being able to have a family. So I jumped into the deep end and started a range of different medication and treatment and alternative therapies, none of which helped. And I quickly realized that IVF was the only process for me if I wanted to be able to have a family. So I went through the process, and I was very lucky. It worked straight away. I fell pregnant, and I was so excited about being a parent, being a mother. Now, at the time, it was actually a really challenging time for me because no one spoke about IVF. It was full of shame and embarrassment. And because of that, I felt really alone. And I had no one to turn to talk to ask questions, to understand why I was feeling this way, or tasting things differently, or worried. And I made myself a promise that once I got through this, that I would always be as open and as transparent as possible about my experience in doing IVF, because I really believe in authenticity. And when you share things, experiences, advice, habits, hacks, whatever it may be, you really have a very powerful impact in supporting other people and helping people feel protected and secure. And they are invaluable things in a very modern and complicated world that we live in. So after having Rocco, I decided I would go and freeze some eggs. I knew I wanted to have more family members, whether it be on my own through a donor or with my partner Tom, who I was in a very stable and serious relationship with. However, I didn't want to put the stress and pressure on my relationship with Tom at the time. We were very serious about each other and where this was going, but I just wanted to make sure that I gave our relationship the space to be able to grow naturally, and when we were both ready to have family, because I knew that it was most likely I was going to have to do IVF again. And I have to say, this was one of the best investments I've made within myself, because I took the stress and pressure off my own shoulders by freezing my eggs. And I'm incredibly grateful for Tom being so kind and supportive as I went through this. Now, a few years later, Tom and I decided that we were definitely both ready to have more family members. And we agreed that we were going to have to do IVF again. And this in itself was another small challenge for us, because Tom knew that I was deemed as medically infertile and that IVF was realistically the only way that we were going to be able to have a family, and of course that was never guaranteed. However, a testament to his strength of character and who he is and what he stands for, we did IVF together. And it turned out this was the biggest blessing in disguise, because as we went through the IVF process, we discovered that we had some chromosome issues. There was some genetical testing that had to be done. And this was only been done if we'd actually done IVF. Otherwise, we would have gone through a lot of heartbreak over and over again. So IVF actually saved us. Anyway, we went through IVF and we conceived our daughter, Apple. And we were so excited about having a baby together and growing our family. And it was the most beautiful experience. And it really changed our life. And looking back, Tom and I both agree that IVF not only has made me a better person because it's made me more respectful of the human body, the fragility of life, and it's also made our relationship so much stronger because we've understood each other, our boundaries, but also how to read each other and how to support each other in the right type of a way that we both need. And my son Rocco is proud to be an IVF baby. When I was creating Apple, Rocco had to come with me to all the various appointments and scans. And he would proudly walk into the nurses' rooms, saying hello, announcing himself, and sharing with the nurses that he was actually created from IVF. He was really proud of that. And I hope that my daughter Apple is just as proud when she's old enough to understand how Tom and I worked so hard to be able to bring her into this world. Now, after having our daughter Apple, we agreed that our family was not yet complete. We needed to keep growing our family, and we were lucky enough to have a couple more frozen embryos. We did another frozen embryo transfer, again with different medication and a different strategy, and sadly I ended up miscarrying. It was a really dark time for me. I was really embarrassed. I was really ashamed of miscarrying, and I blamed myself and with so many questions. However, the love of being a mother, the power of wanting to be a mother again, helped get me through this, as well as the support and kindness of Tom and my girlfriends around me, lifting me up and sharing with me their own experiences of a miscarriage. Anyway, we pushed through and we did another embryo transfer. And this is the life that is growing inside me right now. And we cannot wait to meet him or her. Now, for anyone thinking about doing IVF or egg freezing, I want to share with you 3 bits of advice that really helped me get through all the 3-4 different types of IVF processes and medications and treatments. And number 1 is to be kind to yourself. IVF and egg freezing can be brutal. There's lots of medication, your body's responding in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, and it's a new journey. So cut yourself some slack, slow down, and give yourself some space and time. Doing IVF or egg freezing is kind of like a full-time job. There are lots of appointments, there are lots of blood tests, there are lots of scans, medications might be suddenly changed. You really are like living a life on call. So what I would recommend you do is just slow down so you can be as present and as focused as possible, allowing yourself the best chance of letting this actually happen and work for you. My second bit of advice, and that is actually transparency. When Tom and I were doing IVF and then we went through IVF again and again, we agreed to be completely open and honest with our family and our friends that were doing IVF again. And the benefits that came from this were even bigger and better than what we expected them to be. People really understood what we were going through. They supported us, they were kind to us, they were caring, and they also were really understanding as to what we were going through. So they gave us the space when we needed it, and they gave us the support when we needed it as well. So sometimes being open with people, letting them know what you're going through, what you're trying to do, can allow people to really cut you some slack that can be incredibly powerful as you go through what can be a challenging process. My third bit of advice is around the financials. IVF can be expensive, but with providers like Adora Fertility, it's not nearly as frightening as what you might think. Quite often, people like myself who've gone through IVF so many times, it's a lot like a home renovation. You know you've put a lot of money into that home renovation, but you don't actually want to add it up and see what that final figure comes to. However, the great thing is it's not like that anymore. Providers such as Adora Fertility are making it a level playing ground. It is now a fraction of the cost. You'd actually be surprised as to how much better value doing IVF and egg freezing is. And as I said, you're not jeopardizing any quality or value for money, so that you can focus on the process and get the results that you're looking for. Worrying about money and finances should be the furthest thing from your mind when you're going through IVF or egg freezing. And this is why I'm not only proud, but I'm so excited to be letting Australians know that there is finally a more financially viable and approachable option if you need to do IVF or you're going down the egg freezing path, because growing a family should never be about financial roadblocks. So thank you, Adora Fertility, for creating this financially approachable option and allowing everyday Australians to grow their family the way that they want to. So thank you everyone for watching, and feel free to share.